Hello everyone, Casey here, and welcome to my review for Pulsar Lost Colony. Pulsar Lost Colony is an early access game that is being developed by Leafy Games, and is available for Windows and Mac. Pulsar was released on Steam on September 15th, 2015, and has since been continuously updated with bug fixes and additional content. Pulsar Lost Colony is a starship simulator, where you and up to 4 other players must assume the roles among the vessel. The captain, whom is tasked with overseeing the rest of the crew and is responsible for the team's funds, among many other things. There's the weapons specialist, whose job is simply that of engaging in combat with the ship's many weapons, and is my personal favorite class. The pilot, whose position's requirements are rather obvious, being the one who must maneuver the ship when not in warp, and is very crucial to survival when in combat with enemy ships. There's also the scientist, whom among many other things is tasked with protecting the ship from electronic warfare, such as viruses. And finally, there's the engineer, who manages the ship's reactor and facilitates the power allocation to the various systems on board. In Pulsar, players may traverse the galaxy in one of many different spacecrafts, exploring derelict ships and stations, coming across new worlds to teleport down to and explore. Though be warned, they are often hostile and very unforgiving.
Should we split up?
It's reminiscent of my soul.
You want to split up?
Maybe.
I don't think we should split up.
I'm not seeing anything.
Why are you guys...
Woo!
Run!
I'm out here. I got devoured by a giant sandworm.
Players can take on missions which can span across the entire galaxy and search for credits, in which you can then upgrade the slew of features on your ship, whether it's your ship's shields, hull integrity, weapon systems, warp drives, or even just getting a new captain's seat. The list just goes on and on. The game's randomly generated galaxy makes for an interesting and never dull experience, even if it does seem like you encounter enemies way too frequently. Given that you're in space, I would think that contact with others would be a bit more rare. However, in another way, I'm sort of thankful for the frequency of foes, because personally I think the game really shines beautifully when your ship is in combat. It's at this point that every crew member must take on their roles in stride. Everyone must work together in perfect rhythm in order to ensure survival, especially against multiple or more difficult enemies. The worlds that players can travel to vary in atmosphere, weather, and condition drastically. It's unclear just how many different worlds there are, but in my personal ventures so far, I've come across icy dark planets, bright hot desert planets, and even toxic, heavily overgrown planets with trees and grass just surrounding you everywhere. As awesome as this is, it is a little unfortunate, however, that each planet only lets you explore one very small portion of its surface, roughly the size of an average multiplayer map in your favorite shooter. But nonetheless, exploring what there is to offer is often rewarding, as you can find new weapons, food, and gear throughout the landscapes. Graphically speaking, Pulsar Lost Colony is okay at best. In the game's current state, player models are laughably ugly and simple in texture and design, and while the game does offer somewhat of a customization option for your character, it's quite shallow and doesn't offer much relief of the hideous models. Things do fare considerably better when it comes to the game's ships and environments. Nice, bright, and deep colors, decent lighting effects, and even some good textures are all very pleasing. Even if they are still slightly simplistic in design, a look I feel is intended by Leafy Games. Pulsar boasts what is a pretty impressive and engaging soundtrack, from large orchestral scores down to mood-inducing ambience. It's all very well crafted and enjoyable. For being an early access game, Pulsar has a surprising amount of content and stabilization. I've never had the game crash, stutter, or freeze, and the only time I've ever experienced any sort of frame rate drop is when entering a huge space station that was loaded with shops and AI. Pulsar is beaming with potential and options, and while it's currently a little rough around some of its edges, it is leagues ahead of many other early access games available. I've sunk many hours into Pulsar with the intentions to sink many more into it. While justifying its price tag may be difficult for some gamers, it is worthy at the very least of maintaining on your radar until it's complete. Pulsar is a blast to play and offers what seems to be a dying breed, unfortunately: good and dependent cooperation between you and your friends. I personally would recommend Pulsar to anyone looking for an awesome co-op experience, or just a sci-fi enthusiast. Well, I hope you enjoyed my review for Pulsar Lost Colony, and if you have, please be sure to click that thumbs up button and subscribe to stay up to date with our latest videos and reviews. Well, until next time guys.